In the vast picture of Old Testament, the story of Job stands as a profound statement of the human capacity of hope amidst unimaginable suffering, my dear friends. The book of Job, if you have read it, he's a man described as blameless and upright, faced a series of devastating trials that would have shattered the spirit of most. His story resonates deeply in times of difficulties, trials, but serving as a beacon of hope for those enduring their trials and hardships. I think today we are also facing the same situations, same trials. Maybe not to the degree of Job experienced, but rather we too have our own trials, our sufferings, our ailments. Today, the endurance or the toleration is not a value at all, my dear friends, because we see the tolerance and the endurance is much far away from lives. So much so now the world has introduced, euthanasia, which a person cannot bear up pain or cannot tolerate his pain or can't endure any more of his pain. He can ask to kill him. He can ask for a death. We call it mercy killing. That's because the value of endurance is no more in our lives. But we see in the case of Job, the stripped of his wealth, afflicted with painful sources, and grieving the loss of his children, Job's plight seemed unbearable. Yet, my dear friends, we see his faith is tremendous and wonderful. And for me, it's cannot be compared with anyone's. Because at his losses that he experienced in life, he really withheld and being faithful to God, being sure that he will never be put to shame by the one whom he believed. That's wonderful, that's beautiful. My dear friends, in our lives, we see today we are also encountered with various issues, problems, downfalls, whether it may be financial, or it may be physical, or it may be mental. Sometimes we cannot have our hope in the Lord. Hope is something that we need to have in order to experience or overcome or triumph over anything that we have in our lives. So Job is a wonderful example for all of us in the Bible. I remember a girl whom I met, just 34 years old. She was on her dying bed and she was ready to leave this life and go because she was suffering with leukemia. And I approached him on the request of her own grandmother. And I approached her, and I went to see her, and I sat on her bed, and holding her hand, I asked, "How do you feel? How are you?" You know, the answer was, for me, surprising. The girl replied me immediately, "I'm fine and well and happy and joyful." I just couldn't believe it, because a girl who is just suffering at her deathbed, having known that she will die very soon, and having known that, she still says, "I'm happy, I'm joyful." For me, she has found a meaning in her suffering. She had found meaning even at her deathbed. I couldn't believe that, because she was enduring with a hope all her suffering and relating all her suffering to the suffering of our Lord Jesus Christ, which is very beautiful. That her spirituality, my dear friends. Sometimes we just let things go. We cannot bear up, we cannot hold on to, we cannot really think of something better in our lives. Our hope is sometimes gone. We don't have any hope. We know we find many youth who are frustrated, who are despair, who are suffering with various kinds of mental disorders and chemical reactions, because they were not able to sustain or persevere in their trials, in their problems. But my dear friends, we should remember one thing. Job says, we find in the book of Job, chapter 13, verse 15, "Though he slays me, yet will I hope in him," which is very beautiful. Job knows that God will never allow him to be perished, destroyed. Whatever the situation come, whatever the circumstances, whatever the trials, whatever the ailments, we have a hope. The hope that we keep in the Lord will never be put to shame. And we need to believe this, my dear friends. Because the moment we hold on to fix our eyes on God and take up our cross willingly, happily and joyfully, knowing that this is not eternal, this is something which is temporary, but I can just overcome. That if we have that sort of attitude and belief, I think we all can win our lives. I remember another story of a father and a daughter, because the father said to her daughter, we need to go to sometime, let's say, it's a story from America, and she says New York to Texas probably, and the journey is too far. But then a girl said, "Okay, father, I will drive for you." So she started driving, and while they were driving, it was a heavy thick jungle beside, and both the side, and they were moving. All of a sudden there was the heavy blow of the wind, and it was cyclone-like. So the wind was so strong that she could see how vehicles were moving, because those vehicles which were stopped by the side of the road were moving, were taken off. Then the girl asks the father, "Father, can I stop?" Father says, "No, you keep on driving." Again, she asks, "Now the blow is very heavy, shall I stop? The wind is very heavy, shall I stop?" Then father says, "No, keep on moving." Then again, for the third time also, she was unable to drive the vehicle. The wind was so strong, the blow was so strong, and then she asked the father, "Father, shall I stop?" Then for the third time, father says, "My child, we are little more to go, so keep on driving." Once they were out of the cyclone, out of the wind, then out of the danger, then the father asks to stop the vehicle. And the girl says, "Now it's useless, Dad, because we have passed, we have come out of the wind, come out of the cyclone, come out of the blow. Now it's not need to stop." But then father says, "No, stop the vehicle and get down." So she stopped the vehicle and got down, and then father asked her to look behind. There had been so many vehicles which were stopped, but some were toppled, some were taken away, dragged away, and some were damaged. And father says, "My dear daughter, you need to learn something. The blows will come, the wind will come, the suffering will come, the trials will come, the temptations will come, and what we need to have is a hope with endurance. You need to keep on driving your lives. The more you keep on driving, one day you will overcome." We cannot stop halfway. We cannot say, "No, I don't want this. I have any moral right to say that I don't want this." We need to accept what come on our way, and then we need to keep on driving with perseverance and hope. It is that hope will restore us one day. We see in the story of Job, it beautifully teaches us the valuable lesson of perseverance, my dear friends, and the unwavering trust that we need to keep in our God in the midst of hard time. Even when our lives are marred by pain and uncertainty. So, let us have hope, even when things are even hard to believe.